Okay, so I'm doing the MyiMaths Surds2 exercise. Question 1 says, simplify these surds. So the first one is the square root of 18. So let's just get to my notebook here. There it is. So question 1, that pen's a little bit thick. Let's see if we can do something about that. There we go. So square root of 18. So you might think that looks pretty simple already, written like that, but just remember factor trees. So 18 breaks down as 2 times 9. 9 breaks down as 3 times 3. So the square root of 18 is the square root of 2 times the square root of 3 times the square root of 3. Now the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is just 3, because a square root is exactly that. It's the number that you have to multiply by itself to get the number that it's the square root of. So by definition, the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is just 3. So the square root of 18 is the same as the root of 2 times 3, or writing that more conventionally, 3 at the start, root 2. So the square root of 18 is the same as 3 times the square root of 2. And that is simplified in the sense that you've got the smallest number possible in the square root sign. So let's just go back to iMaths and fill that in. So just get rid of that. Square root of 18 is equal to 3 times the square root of 2. Okay, on to the next one. The square root of 300. Okay, well, let's just think about how 300 breaks down. Well, very obviously, 300 is 3 times 100. So without even drawing a factor tree, the square root of 300 is the square root of 3 times 100, which you can write as the square root of 3 times the square root of 100. And of course 100 is a nice square number. 100 is 10 times 10. So that's the same as the square root of 3 times 10. Or more conventionally, the 10 at the front times the square root of 3. So again, that's more simple. That's simplified in the sense that you've got the square root of the smallest number possible there. So 10 times the square root of 3 is our answer for that one. Let's just fill that in. So 10 times the square root of 3, and that's that one done. Next one, square root of 24. Okay, so back to my book. Let's call that number 3. The square root of 24, well, let's do a factor tree. 24 is 2 times 12. 12 is 2 times 6. 6 is 2 times 3. So the square root of 24 is the same as the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 times the square root of 3. So we've got some matching 2's there. So the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 there equals 2. And then we haven't got any other matching ones, so we're just going to have to bunch those up into a single square root. The square root of 2 times the square root of 3, those two, that's going to be the square root of 2 times 3, square root of 6. So our final answer is 2 times the square root of 6, and it's simplified again in the sense that we've written it in the way that has the smallest possible number in the square root symbol. So let's just get back to iMaths and write in 2 times the square root of 6 as the final answer for that one. Okay, now we've got some with things in brackets. So 2 plus root 5 times 2 plus root 8. Okay, so back to my notebook. Call this question 4. 2. Let's just check what that said again. Yes, 2. So root 2 plus 5. Root 2 plus 5 in bracket times root 2 plus 8. Root 2 plus 8. Well, when you've got two brackets multiplied together with various bits added up within them, you've basically got to multiply everything by everything. So the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 gives you, there we are, 2 root 2, root 2, root 2. Then let's go for blue. Root 2 times 8 gives you 8 times root 2. Let's go for green now. 5 in the first bracket times the other root 2 in the other bracket gives you 5 times root 2. And then finally at the end there, we've got 5 times 8, which is just going to give you, let's give myself a bit of space there, 40. So we've got root 2 times root 2, which is just 2. 8 times root 2 plus 5 times root 2, which altogether makes 13 times the square root of 2. And then plus 40 on the end. Well, the 40 and the 2 can go together to make 42, and then plus 13 root 2. That's just about as simple as it's going to get. 42 plus 13 times the square root of 2. Let's just underline that. You should do that with a ruler in your exercise book, of course. 42 plus 13 root 2. Let's put that in there. So 42 plus 13 root 2. They've given you some extra spaces there. That's just for the steps in the working that I did on my exercise book thing there. I'll not put them in there. They're not marked. So the 2 marks that you see there will be given for the final answer in the box. Okay, root 7 plus 9 times root 7 minus 7. Let's just go to my book. So root 7 plus 9 times root 7 minus 7. So let's call that question 5. So we've got to do root 7 times root 7. Root 7 times root 7, which is just going to be 7. Got to do root 7 times minus 7. So that's going to be minus 7 root 7. We've got to do the 9 in the first bracket times the root 7 in the second bracket. So that's going to be plus 9 root 7. Oh, and we've just pressed something we shouldn't. Okay, so minus 9 times the square root of 7. So minus 7 times the square root of 7 plus 9 times the square root of 7 on balance is going to give us plus 2 times the square root of 7. And then finally we've got 7 times minus 9 is going to give us minus 63. So we've got 7 plus 2 root 7 minus 63. Well, the 7 and the minus 63 together are going to make minus 56. So minus 56 plus 2 root 7 is our final answer. So just put that in. Minus 56 plus 2 root 7. Okay, last one. 9 plus 3 root 3 times 9 minus root 3. Well, I happen to know something quite interesting is going to happen here that is going to be relevant in question 2 when we do it. But let's worry about question 1 first. So 9 plus root 3 times 9 minus root 3. Just go on to my other thing here. So move that up here. 9 plus root 3 times 9 minus root 3. So the 9 times 9 is going to give us 81. The 9 times minus root 3 is going to give us minus 9 times root 3. The other root 3 times the 9 in the other bracket will give us plus 9 root 3. And then finally, the root 3 times minus root 3 is going to give us minus root 3 root 3. So here's the interesting thing that happens. So you've got the 81, the minus 9 root 3 and the plus 9 root 3 cancel each other out, so there's nothing there. And then the minus root 3 times root 3 is the same as minus 3, because root 3 times root 3 is just 3. So you end up with 81 minus 3, and the middle bit just all cancelling out. And 81 minus 3 is 78. So it all boils down to just a simple 78. And that thing about the plus and minus in the brackets making them all cancel each other out is going to be useful when we get to the next exercise, all about rationalizing the denominator. But let's just do this one. So I'll go back to that and put 78 in my box there, and we will just mark that. And we got 12 out of 12, which is lovely.